Hello everyone. Let's review shlokas 148 and 149 in Lalitha Sahasranamam. Durārādhyā durādarśhā pāṭalī kusumapriyā mahatī merunilayā mandāra kusumapriyā vīrārādhyā virāḍrūpā virajā viśvatomukhī pratyagrūpā parākāśā prāṇadā prāṇarūpiṇī. Let's take a look at the meanings of the namas. Durārādhyā. Durārādhyā. Dur means difficult. Ārādhyā means to worship. So she is someone who is difficult to worship. You might all remember there is another nama called Sukharādhyā. And Sukharādhyā means she is someone who is easily worshipped. So how come both apply to her? So when we said she is easily worshipped, Lalitha does not expect any elaborate rituals. She does not need any great offerings. So she doesn't need all this pomp and show. The only way to attain Lalitha is by submitting our senses to her, focusing our mind on her, and continuing to keep her in our mind no matter what we do. So that is how Lalitha can be attained. And if you look at that, the easily worshipped was because you don't have to do any great rituals, you don't have to do any offerings. And the easy way is just in your mind, wherever you are, you can just think of Lalitha. And that is the best form of worship, and that is the form of worship that she is most fond of. But if you see from a human being's perspective, for us, if we have to follow a procedure, it is easy for us. If we have to do any offerings for God, we are used to that. But controlling our senses, focusing our mind and staying focused and having this chintana of Devi at all times is something that's very hard for us. And only someone who is able to do that can attain her. And therefore, she is difficult to worship. Durādarśhā. Durādarśhā. Ādarśhā means to control, to subjugate, to overcome. So, bring under our control. Ādarśham means to control. Dur again is difficult. She is someone who's difficult to control. So, between durārādhyā and durādarśhā, she is difficult to worship and she is difficult to control. Control meaning attain, bring under our control. So, she is difficult to attain. The only reason being that attaining her requires a strong sadhana, deep meditation and constant thought of Lalitha. That is the only way to attain. pāṭalī kusumapriyā. Pāṭalī is the trumpet flower. Kusuma means flower and priya means fond of. She is fond of the trumpet flower. So this trumpet flower actually is red in the bottom and white at the top. So we all know red is the color of Shakti and white is the color of Shiva. So the pāṭalī flowers looks like a union of Shiva and Shakti. And why is it used here? It is used here because pāṭalī flower represents union. And while she is very difficult to worship, she is very difficult to attain, what is she fond of? If we strongly desire that union with her, then she is fond of that, and that is the way to attain her. So the whole idea of Lalitha Sahasranamam is to find that Devi residing inside our hearts, to become one with that Devi. If we strongly desire that union with Devi and we are constantly fond of her, then that Devi who's difficult to worship, that Devi who's difficult to control will willingly come under our control. That's what pāṭalī kusumapriyā means here. Mahatī. Mahat means great. Even in Tamil, Magattuvam means great. Mahatī means one who is great. And we have seen all her powers. And someone who has that power is great. And she is the Parabrahmam and therefore she is great. So she is Mahatī. And Mahatī also is the Veena that is held by Narada. So Narada's Veena is called as Mahatī. So she is also Narada's Veena. You can think of it that way. So it is said that Narada used to be a Gandharva, and from there he became a Narada Muni. And therefore we all know Gandharvas are all celestial singers. So they are extremely very good in music. be it instruments, be it vocal singing, they're all very good. And Narada Muni is also one such who's very good in music. And you must have all heard the saying Narada Ganam. So he sings really well. And there is also another sage called Tumburu, and the sage Tumburu is also very good at playing veena, and he used to play in the court of Indra, Kubera, etc. And sage Tumburu's veena was called as Kalavati. So once sage Tumburu was playing veena, and Vishnu happened to hear it. And Vishnu really liked that how he played the veena, and Vishnu praised sage Tumburu. And Narada, sage Narada also happened to be there. And sage Narada was feeling a bit jealous. He thought, I'm very good at playing the veena, but sage Tumburu got great words of praise from Vishnu. I also want to get that. And so immediately he called sage Tumburu for a competition. Said, let's find out who's the great veena player. And then both of them played, but unfortunately in that particular competition, sage Narada lost. And so sage Narada now is determined to get words of praise from Vishnu for playing veena, and he wants to be the best veena player. And therefore he went and he learnt veena again from another Gandharva. And then he also made sure he went to Rukmani, Krishna's wife, and he also learnt how to play veena from her, and he got some nice techniques. Now, equipped with all this learning, sage Narada is feeling more confident with his veena playing skills, and then now he wants to have another competition again with sage Tumburu. And this time he wants Vishnu to be the judge. And the idea is that now he has better skills and he'll play and he'll win, and Vishnu will say nice words about him. So that's his goal. Vishnu heard about this and he thought, oh no, he knows what sage Narada is looking for, and Vishnu did not want to go there. And therefore he said, you know what, a better judge than me would be Hanuman, because we all know Hanuman is good at everything. He has all the powers and he's good at everything. There is nothing Hanuman doesn't know. So Vishnu said, let's make Hanuman the judge because he is amazing at music. So let him be the judge. So now it was decided, and a day for the competition was decided. Everybody had come together, and under the Hanuman was the chief, and they started. So first sage Tumburu played, and when sage Tumburu played, the music flowing out of his veena was so awesome that everything stopped in the universe. Like the breeze that was flowing just stopped midway. The waves were flowing, the waves stopped midway. Everything stopped midway. And everybody was praising, oh my gosh, such is the music that it can stop everybody in their tracks. And then next, it was sage Narada's turn. And sage Narada played his veena, mahatī, and all the things that had stopped started to move. So the breeze started flowing, the waves started moving, everything happened. So now everybody was going, what is great? Is it great to stop someone in their tracks, or is it great to infuse life on something that's not moving? What is great? And they were all thinking, how is Hanuman going to give the judgment? And then Hanuman was equally in a fix, and then Hanuman said, you know what, you've all gone for round 1, let's do round 2. And this time what Hanuman did is, he took both their veenas and he removed all the frets. Those are the small sticks that are under the string. He removed all that, and then he gave the veena back to them and said, now you both play your veena. And both sage Tumburu and sage Narada were very upset. They said, without the frets, how can the veena produce music? That's no way to play a veena. We cannot do all of that. And both of them were very upset with the rules of the competition. And at that time, Hanuman started to take 2 bamboo sticks and he started to play just with the bamboo sticks. And out of the bamboo stick came amazing music, and it was mesmerizing, and everybody forgot themselves. They forgot time, place, anything around them. All they were able to do was just get involved in that music. And even sage Tumburu and Narada, who were upset, who were trying to prove who is best, etc., even they forgot why they were there. And Hanuman's music was such that everybody was able to involve and completely be enchanted and be mesmerized by that music. And then when Hanuman stopped playing, when they saw around, they saw Vishnu himself was standing there listening raptly to Hanuman's music. And then everybody was like really surprised, to see Vishnu there. And Vishnu told them all, this music was so full of devotion, so full of bhakti, that I just couldn't help but come to hear this myself. I had to come in person. This music drew me like that. And then Vishnu said, it's not about how skilled somebody is in playing the music, but it is the devotion that is the secret ingredient. That's what makes anything better. And therefore, even sage Tumbru and sage Narada both understood that devotion was a very important piece in playing the music. And skills are important, but equally important is the devotion. That's why if you see, there is a Tyagaraja Kirtanam where he says, Sangeeta Jnanamu Bhakti Vina Sanmargamu Galade. So the Sangeeta Jnanam, the skills of music, Bhakti Vina, without Bhakti, will not lead us to right path. And it is not just for the musical knowledge or the playing of Veena. Any skill, if we are good at something, the one byproduct of that skill is that it immediately makes us feel too proud of ourselves. Ego builds up. I'm good at it. And then from there builds all the things where if somebody else is good at it, then we can't take it, etc. So that's why if you see in our culture, everything, be it music, be it dance, everything has a aspect of devotion in it. The importance of that devotion is that it brings vinayam, and that is the important thing we should have. Vinayam means humility and not thinking too much of ourselves. So all of this, when we let go of that ego, that is the path to perpetual happiness. And that's why in our culture, everything, Rangoli also, even if you can draw very well, we make that into a kolam or a muggu, and that becomes something that's an offering to God. So devotion is the most important thing out of that. And that mahatī, that which is great, that which is difficult to attain, that which is difficult to worship, will willingly come under our control if we demonstrate this devotion. So when devotion is mixed with anything, whatever it is mixed with becomes better. So devotion always elevates. So when a person is devoted, then they become bhakta and they become elevated. So if you look at it, when food is mixed with bhakti, then we call it prasadam. It is ordinary food that quenches hunger, but when it is prasadam, it fulfills. So prasadam is revered and it is elevated. Similarly, when water is mixed with bhakti, then we call it tirtham. It is not regular water anymore. It is fulfilling, and that's why it's called tirtha. So bhakti always elevates, and when a person, a vyakti, has bhakti in them, we call them bhakta. And what is the power of that bhakta? That bhakta can bring God to them. If we take one step towards God and we are devoted towards God, then God will take 100 steps towards us. So that is the beauty of bhakti, and that is something that elevates everything around us. Merunilayā. Meru is the Mount Meru. Nilayā means station. So she is someone who is residing in the Meru. Mandāra kusumapriyā. Mandāra is an Indian coral flower. It is red in color. Kusuma again is flower, and Priya again is fond of. So she is fond of the Indian coral flower. So this Mandaram is supposed to be a very fragrant flower, and it has the unique thing of being one of the flowers in Indra's garden. There are 5 flowers that are in Indra's garden. So this is one of the flowers in paradise. So it is that special. And Mandara, it looks like a cluster of flowers that are deep red in color. And Mandaram, the speciality of Mandaram is that it can grow very fast. And when it is in full bloom, it's a sight to behold. The fragrance is amazing. and all the birds get attracted to this mandāra Indian coral tree, and it is also able to enrich the soil on which it is there. So it is very helpful from a overall perspective, environmental perspective. It helps the environment. And this mandara, just as it is fast growing, it is also short lived. So the mandara represents the ability to grow, and this is in the spiritual path, ability to grow. And then short lived represents quickly cutting through the cycles of birth and death. So mandāra kusumapriyā represents growth and liberation, and that's what she is fond of. Vīrārādhyā, vīrārādhyā. So Veeras are those people who are considered as warriors. Okay, so we all know Veeran is warrior. But who is a warrior, right? In the spiritual realm, strength is conquering your mind. Strength is not conquering ourselves, conquering other people, or conquering, having physical strength. Conquering ourselves is considered as the biggest battle that we have to win. And therefore, Veeras are those who have conquered themselves, who have realized themselves, who are able to control their senses, and through that make the inward journey towards self-realization. So, Veeras are the enlightened people. Āradhya means worshipped. So, she is someone who is worshipped by the Veeras, who are the enlightened people. Virāḍrūpā. Virād means gigantic. So, she has a gigantic form. Rūpa means form. So, she has a gigantic form. She is very big. That's how we can interpret it. So, there are three types of bodies. We say Sthula Shariram, Sukshma Shariram, and Para. Those are the three types. And if you look at the Sthulam, that is the gross body, something that you can see, it's material, physical. And the sum total of all the physical bodies within the universe is called as Virād. And therefore, she is virāḍrūpā. And this is the same as viśvatomukhī. Virajā. Virajā. Raja means passion. Vi means without. So, she is without passion. That means she is easily unattached, or she is not attached to anything. So, dispassionate is what you can think of. That doesn't mean that they are not involved in things. What it means is that she's without passion, easily can cut off with that, cut off attachment. Another way to look at Raja is, Raja in Sanskrit also means dust. So virajā means without dust, and dust is a impurity. Therefore, she is without impurity, and therefore she is a pure. And Virajā also happens to be a river that's flowing near Vaikuntham. So, Virajā Nadi flows between Brahmaloka and Vishnuloka. And it's the demarcation between the spiritual world and the material world, if you will. So, we all have heard there are 14 lokas, and Brahmaloka is the top of it. It's also called as Satyaloka. So, these 14 lokas are all called as Brahmandam. And you can think of that as a material world. And then beyond that Brahmaloka is Vishnuloka, Shivaloka, and Deviloka, etc. And we all know Vishnulokam is called as Vaikuntham, and Shivalokam is Kailasam. So those are all the spiritual world. And this Virajā Nadi is between the material world and the spiritual world. And Virajā Nadi is extremely pure. So if anybody dips in the Virajā Nadi, then they get rid of all their sins, and most importantly, their cycle of birth and death ends right there. And the next step for them is moksha. And that means permanent abode with the God, and that is the Vaikuntham. So Virajā Nadi is also a river that is in the near Brahmaloka and Vishnuloka. Viśvatomukhī. Vishvataha means all directions. Mukhi means face. So, Viśvatomukhī means she is one who is facing in all directions. Otherwise, she is present everywhere. Pratyagrūpā. Pratyag means inward. Rūpa in this context can be appearance. So, she is someone who appears when you are focused inward. It said that she is there in all directions, right? She is facing everywhere. but we are not able to see her because our sense organs are not capable of seeing her. Our sense organs are particularly programmed to look outside in this material world, and from that material world get the information and bring it back to our mind. But that kind of vision is not enough to see Lalita. If we want to see her, then we have to bring all the sense organs under our control, and we have to turn our vision inward and do the deep journey inside, because she is residing in our heart. And if we want to see her, our eyes can only look outside. Only if you have something that can look inside, and your mind can do that, we control our mind and go through that journey, that's when she will appear for us. So pratyagrūpā, one who is visible when we are looking inward. Parākāśā, para means beyond, ākāśam means sky. So she is beyond the sky. Generally, when we refer to Parabrahmam, actually Parākāśā means she is the Parabrahmam. That is indescribable. That is not something that we can easily perceive with our senses. So she is that ultimate reality who's beyond the sky. And Parabrahmam typically gets reference to the Akasham because they are trying to explain it using something we can relate to. And all of us can see the Akasham. And it's right there. And wherever we go in this earth, Akasham is always there. Right? But how can we explain that Akasham? If you want to describe that Akasham, all you can say is a vast expanse of space. Sometimes it looks so pure, so clear, and therefore there is purity. So you can say it's vast, it's pure, and those are also attributes we can put for our Parabrahmam. But no matter what we explain it, if you try to go near the sky, the closer you go to it, the farther it looks. From where you are standing, it looks as if it's closer. But if you try to go towards it, it is farther, right? So it is not something that's easy to reach. And similarly, she is that parākāśā. So they're trying to explain that she is that Parabrahma who's beyond the space. And that's what is referenced here. Prāṇadā. Pranam means the breath or the life-giving force. Da means one who gives. So she is the one who gives the life-giving force. Prāṇarūpiṇī. Pranam again is the breath. Rūpiṇī means form of. So she is not just someone who gives the breath, but she is also the breath itself. So the breath and the one who bestows the breath. She is both of those. And if we see, that pranam is the life-giving force, right? So if there is pranam in a body, then that is a person. If there is no pranam, then it is a body. So that life-giving force, the one who makes this universe go around, that one who makes a human being go, is her. So those are the meanings of the namas that we have looked at. And let's take a look at a short story related to the nama Virajā. And as you may recall, we said Virajā is a river that is running between Brahmaloka and Vishnululoka. And we also said Virajā means without passion or without attachment. And we also said the Virajā Nadi is so pure that anyone who dips in it, then they are cut off from the cycle of birth and death, the samsara sagaram. When we are saying that in Vishnu Sahasranamam, yasya smarana matrena janma samsara bandhanat vimuchyate. So at the thought of whom all the cycle of birth and death will be. And that's why we say Ramanama Tarakam. That Tarakam means it allows us to cross. So that cycle of birth and death is actually being crossed because this Virajā is running before the Vishnululoka. And the soul, when it goes near that, then all the attachment is cut, and then the next step is moksha. So that is the Virajā Nadi. So we'll look at a short story related to it. So once Brahma was doing a penance, and it was a deep penance continuing for many years. And as a result of his penance, a Vimanam just sprang up from the milk ocean. And this Vimanam was golden, and it was shining, and it was so beautiful to look at and mesmerizing to look at. And when the Vimanam sprang up from the milk ocean, Garuda carried it. Adisesha was coming behind and acting like an umbrella for that Vimanam. And Vishvaksena was walking in the front, clearing the way so that Garuda and Adisesha can come through. The sun and moon were on both sides of the Vimanam, fanning the Vimanam, and all the Devas were walking behind that Vimanam with the Jayagosham. They were all coming, so this was like a big party procession that's coming towards Brahma. And Vimanam, you can think of it as a abode of God, right? Vimanam, you might all know, is vehicle. So it is a abode of God, place where God resides. So this entire procession is coming towards Brahma. And when Brahma hears all this sound and noise, he opens his eyes from his penance, and then he immediately looks at this Vimanam that's shining golden, and it is so beautiful. And he's just completely amazed, and in wonder he's continually staring at it. And then Sunanda, who is the one of the gods in the Vaikuntham, he comes forward and he reaches out to Brahma and he says, go near and look at it. So Brahma goes close to the Vimanam and he's looking inside the Vimanam. And what does he find there? He finds Vishnu. Vishnu, in his all decked up, he is lying there in the Yoga Nidra, in the Sayanam pose. He's lying down there. And then there is Lakshmi also. And Brahma is completely overwhelmed and he's overjoyed. Such is the result of his penance, and he is able to see Vishnu himself. And then Vishnu blesses Brahma and he says that, Brahma, because of your penance, I came out of my own will, and it's called as Swayam Vyakta. That means out of my own violation I came. And you keep this Vimanam, and according to all the Agama procedures, you please do the puja for this one. So Brahma, prayed to Vishnu and said, I will do exactly what you told me to. And Brahma took that Vimanam and he went to Brahmaloka or Satyaloka. And then he was trying to find a good place to keep this Vimanam so that he can do the puja. And then when he was looking, he thought, what better than the banks of Virajā Nadi, because Virajā Nadi is so pure. It cuts off attachment, it cuts off the cycle of birth and death, and it is such a pure river. So he thought banks of Virajā Nadi is the best place for this Vimanam to be, and he placed it there. And then regularly he will do puja, just like Vishnu told him. He did all the puja. And then slowly after Brahma, his son did it. And Brahma's son is Marichi, Marichi's son is Kashyapa, Kashyapa's son is Surya. So they were all taking turns and they all used to do the puja. And then we all know Surya's son is the Manu, and Manu was doing puja for it. And Manu's son is Ishvaku. And then it was Ishvaku's turn to do the puja. And Ishvaku became the king of Ayodhya. So he was living in the earth. And now this is his turn to go do the puja, as it's come down the generations. But he's living in the earth, and this Vimanam is in Virajā Nadi, near Virajā Nadi, between Brahmalokam and Vishnulokam. So Ishvaku asked Brahma, can I please take this to the earth? But Brahma said, no, here it is sitting next to Virajā Nadi. It's such a pure Nadi and it is in a good place. It is not a good idea to take it down. But Ishvaku did not want to let go of his responsibility. For generations down, everybody has been doing puja for this. So he wants to do. So Ishvaku goes ahead and does a severe penance towards Brahma. And obviously, Brahma will answer any penance. And then Brahma said, okay, fine, you can take that Vimanam to Ayodhya. So Ishvaku brought that. And then the same tradition continued. Every next generation was doing the puja, and this Vimanam of Vishnu in the lying pose became a prized possession of Ishvaku's clan, and it is called as Raghukula or Suryakulam. So they are the solar dynasty because they came from the sun. And so every king had it, and even King Dasharatha had it, and even when he was doing Putra Kameshti Yagam, this Vimanam was right there, and lots of kings who looked at it, they were all mesmerized, and it was the prized possession of the Raghukula. And as we all know, after Dasharatha, it was Rama's turn to be the king, and then Rama had to go to forest, and Sita was abducted by Ravana, and then Rama fought the war, and he won over Sita, and Ravana's brother Vibhishana assisted Rama in that war. And then Rama came back and he became the king of Ayodhya. And when he became the king of Ayodhya, he wanted to thank everyone who helped him in that war with Ravana. And Vibhishana was a very important person who helped him. And he wanted to thank Vibhishana appropriately. And what did he think was appropriate? He took this prized possession, the Vimanam that has been in his family for generations together. That was something that was given by Vishnu himself to Brahma as a result of his penance, and it has come all the way. He took that and he gave it to Vibhishana and said, Vibhishana, this is my gift to you. You take it and keep it in Sri Lanka. And Vibhishana was overwhelmed. He adores Rama, and such a gift from Rama, a prized possession of his family. Vibhishana was really moved and touched, and he said, okay, I'll take this. And then Rama told him, only one condition, you place this wherever you think is the final place to place it. If you place it somewhere in between, then you will not be able to take it again. So be careful and don't place it anywhere on the way. So Vibhishana agreed, and Vibhishana took that, and from Ayodhya he is going towards Sri Lanka. And at that time it was evening time and he had to do Sandhya Vandanam, and therefore he was trying to do it. And this Vimanam is a little bit heavy, and therefore with that he cannot do the Sandhya Vandanam. And there are many stories around it, but it's said that he placed it in the ground in order to do Sandhya Vandanam. And after he finished Sandhya Vandanam and came back, the idol would not move. And Vibhishana was in tears. This is something that Rama gave, and Rama specifically told him, don't keep it down. No, beyond his control, it's been placed down. And so now he is thinking, he's crying and he's saying, he's trying hard to take it out. At that time, he hears a voice from the heaven, and it says, I've decided to make this place my abode, and therefore I will stay here, but I will face south and I'll be facing towards Sri Lanka, and from here I will bless you. And Vibhishana, you can come anytime you want to come and see me, but I'm going to stay here. So once Vibhishana heard that, he realized this was God's intent to stay here, and therefore Vibhishana left. And as soon as that idol was placed there, the Virajā Nadi that was in Vaikuntham came down and surrounded that idol. And therefore in the earth it was called as Kaveri and Kollidam. So Kaveri it's the same. It surrounded that idol. And there was a Chola king where it got placed. In that place was ruled by a Chola king. And this Chola king's name is Dharmavarma. And this Dharmavarma is a contemporary of Dasharatha. So when he went to Dasharatha's Putrakameshti Yagam, and he saw this Vimanam, and ever since he saw this Vimanam, he fell in love with that. And he kept on praying to Vishnu that he also wanted something like that. So he was asking Vishnu to make, to come to him. And King Dharmavarma, when he heard about this, he realized his prayers were answered, and Vishnu decided to be in his kingdom. Obviously, it's a cause for celebration, so immediately creates a big festival, and then they build a temple around it, and everybody is celebrating that Vimanam and the Vishnu inside it. And then time passes, and as we all know, Kaveri is a big river and there is lots of water in it. So the Kaveri, and it is not controllable at all. It runs like that. And so slowly, this was a small land that Kaveri had surrounded, and the Kaveri just grew, and this land submerged under the water. And therefore, people forgot that there was a temple, there was an idol, etc. Everybody forgot. And then time passed, many years passed, and then slowly the water receded and the land surfaced again, but the land was now covered with lots of trees, and it became like a jungle, and all the wild animals were thriving there. There were deers, there were wild boar, etc. So the Chola kingdom continued, the Chola clan was continuing, and they were all in a different place called Urayur. So where this is kind of a remote place, and it is a jungle. That's all people knew about it. So then there was a Chola king who wanted to go for hunting. And when he went for hunting, they thought, oh, this is a good place. We've seen lots of deers and wild boars, so let's go. So the king now has all the boats and all the people, and the king is going on a hunting expedition. So he comes to this particular place, which is now a jungle, and he goes on a hunting. And during the day, when he's a little bit tired, he's sitting under a tree, and he is relaxing under that tree. And on that tree was a parrot, and suddenly the king heard the parrot say something. And what was unusual about it is, we all know what sound parrots make, but this particular parrot was not making a sound that parrots normally make. Rather, it was actually saying something. So the king was trying to listen to what was this parrot saying. And the parrot was saying, Kaveri virajā seyam vaikuntam rangamandiram sa vasudevo rangeshah pratyaksham paramam padam vimanam pranavakaram vedashrangam mahatbutam Srirangasayi Bhagavan pranavata prakāśasaha. So the parrot was saying this, and it was continuously repeating the same thing. But this Chola king could not understand what the parrot was saying, but he was able to pick up a few words which said Kaveri, Vaikuntham, Vasudevo, Vimanam. He was able to get a few words, but he couldn't quite understand. It was in a language that he couldn't understand. So first the king was very perplexed. A parrot saying words like this, and so he is interested, intrigued. And that night he goes back to the boat and he's sleeping, and he has a vision, and in his vision Vishnu is telling him, I am here, come and find me. And then he is able to see some place, a particular place within the forest where Vishnu is saying, I am here, come and find me. And so he wakes up, and the next morning it becomes very clear for him that these are all connected. That parrot was trying to tell me something, and then now I have this vision. That means there is something here in this jungle that I am supposed to go and find. So the king now is very determined. So he goes and gets one of the ministers who understands all these languages, and therefore he asks him to go find out what the parrot is saying. So then the minister goes and listens to what the parrot is saying, and then the minister understands it. And then he's translating that to the king. And he says, this parrot is saying that this river Kaveri is the same as the Virajā Nadi or Virajā river that's flowing in Vaikuntham. And this temple for Ranga is the same as Vaikuntham. It's none other than Vaikuntham itself. And the god who is in that temple is none other than Vasudeva, who resides in the Vaikuntham. Paramam Padam means Vaikuntham. So it's none other than Vishnu, who's living in Vaikuntham, who is also in this temple, and it is Pratyaksham Paramam Padam. It is a Vaikuntham that everybody can see. Pratyaksham means in front of our eyes. So it is the Vaikuntham in front of our eyes. And the Vimanam is like the Pranava, the Om symbol. It is in the shape of the Om symbol. And Vedashrangam Mahatbutam. The pillars of that Vimanam are none other than the Vedas themselves. And it's Mahatbutam, it's fantastic, it's splendid. And this Rangasayi, this god, this deity Rangasayi, is illuminating the meaning for Om. So he's saying that this Kaveri river is the same as the Virajā Nadi, and the temple here is the Vaikuntham. So then now everybody gets to know there is some temple here which is none other than Vaikuntham itself, and therefore we have to find it. And so they go and get a lot of armies, lots of soldiers, and they're coming and clearing this forest to find a way, and they're trying to see if they can find the same place that came in the vision. And at one point they find out that exact place, and the king is able to see, this is what I saw in the vision. And when they excavate there, they're finding this temple. Obviously everybody is overjoyed, so they clear the place around the temple, and then that place gets named as Thiruvarangam. Thiru in Tamil means holy. Arangam means a place that is surrounded by water. You can think of it as an island or an islet. Islet is a smaller land. So he calls it Thiruvarangam. And today all of us know that place as Srirangam. Srirangam is called as Bhuloka Vaikuntham. It's Pratyaksham Paramam Padam. It's Bhuloka Vaikuntham, and Vishnu himself is residing there. And Srirangam is one of the biggest functioning temples. Angkor Wat is very big, but Angkor Wat is existing, but it is not operational. Srirangam is operational. That Vimanam that is mentioned is still in Srirangam. You can find it, and there are 21 gopurams around it. So Srirangam is a Bhuloka Vaikuntham. Anybody who goes there has all their sins released, and they are able to feel that serenity and liberation. And Srirangam is the first among the 108 Divya Desams. And Srirangam, as we know, that particular Lord is Swayam Vakta. That means self-manifesting. There are only 8 places where that God is self-manifesting. Tirupati is one of them, Muktinath is one of them, Badrinath is one of them, Naimisaranyam. So Srirangam is considered as the first among all the Divya Desams. And the temple is really big. It's almost, if you want to go through all the 21 gopurams, you have to walk about 6 miles. That's how big the temple is. And the temple has 7 prakaras, Sapta Prakaram. And the significance of that Sapta Prakaram is, for any Jivatma to attain moksham, it has to go through 7 layers. And then it will reach Virajā Nadi, and it will cross the Virajā Nadi, and then will be able to get the moksham. So the Kaveri here is none other than Virajā Nadi, in that it is an extremely pure river. It not just washes away the sin, it can ensure that the cycle of birth and death can be permanently removed. That is the speciality of Kaveri. So that Ranganatha, out of Karunyam, out of his grace for all of us, is residing in Srirangam as Ranganatha, and Lakshmi is there as Ranganayaki. And as we all know, it is a very, very important site for those who are following the Vaishnava Margam, and Ramanuja is a great Acharya in that particular Margam, and his physical body is still preserved, and there is a particular shrine for Ramanuja there. And also this temple, so many kings have contributed to this temple, therefore it's a very wealthy temple, and it is also functioning very well. And obviously wealth and a lot of attention towards it attracts a lot of other people also. So when India was taken over by the Mughals, this temple was looted a lot, and it is said that one of the sultans, they raided this temple, and they took one of the vigrahams of Vishnu all the way back to Delhi. And then it was there as a something that they won in a battle. And the sultan had a daughter who looked at this and really liked this, and she was playing with it. Initially she was thinking of it as a doll, and she was playing with it, but later on she became very attached to it. Afterwards Ramanuja went to Delhi to ask for that vigraham, and the sultan agreed to give it, but the girl could not really part with the doll. So she said, I will also come with this vigraham. So she came along with the vigraham. She came in a palanquin, a pallak, and she had the statue in her hand. And then when they reached Srirangam, they saw inside the pallak, only the statue was there, and the girl was not there. And it is considered that she merged as one with the god. And therefore today in Srirangam there is a Tuluka Nachiyar shrine as well. So Srirangam is a Bhuloka Vaikuntham. Anybody who dips in Kaveri gets all their sins washed away. And the lucky thing is, it's right there, available for everyone to go and see. May Sri Ranganatha and Ranganayaki bless us all. That's all for today.